But welcome to the Windy City Block by Block radio show. And I am probably won't have a lot of people today, but that's not a problem because when you start off new, you got to get people interested in what you do. So, what my show will entail is I'm going to just talk about different things going on in the real estate housing market. And I better plug my computer up or I am going to be shut off. Excuse me for a minute. All right, I'm back. That was close. Okay, I was just the one on. But anyway, I want to start this radio broadcast so that I can share with anybody who's interested about anything that's going on in the real estate market. And so this is my opportunity to share my knowledge with you. And so because this is a new show, I am going to be sort of looking for participation in terms of if you got any questions. Please don't hesitate to put them in the, in the stream. And then if for some reason I don't get to your question, you can always email me at D Haley, that's D as in David, HALEY at asagarealty.com. I'm going to take a moment to put that information in there. So I might end up just letting you guys look at me for a minute while I'm doing these different things because I am the announcer and the producer right now. So some crazy things may happen, but nonetheless, we're just going to have fun talking about real estate and all of the components that go into it. And so one of the things before I get started, just want everybody to, if you're coming home from work or you just got finished getting dinner together and you're trying to get the kids to settle down or it's just so much noise going on, just take a break, relax. Because I want you to enjoy the information that I'm giving. And if it's something that you aren't using right now, certainly share it with somebody else because knowledge is power. And I've been in the real estate. Let me tell you a little bit about me in case some of you are tuning into me for the first time. I have been selling real estate for 30 years. I've seen so many facets of real estate. When I first got into it, I think the interest rates may have come down from like 17%. And can you imagine people were buying houses at 17%? But keep in mind, the property values were not that high. So, you could probably find a really decent house in the 40s or 50s. And now probably that same house is worth, depending on location, because, location is, what's that old term? Location, and location determines value. So that same $45,000 house could be worth now anywhere between 150 or more, give and take the housing crisis that occurred some years ago. That affected a lot of property values, and some areas are starting to see a comeback, and that's good. But now we got COVID, and people are kind of struggling financially. And so that's what I want to talk a little bit about. So, my name again is Dawn Haley, and I appreciate whoever's tuned in right now. And then once this really gets revving up, then please share me, subscribe, because I'm going to be doing this. I plan to be doing this at least once a week. I haven't decided on what day yet because I'm involved with some other things that I do live podcasts with. So I just want to make sure that I'm consistent and the information that I'm giving you is relevant and it's things that you can use now or maybe share with some others. So I'm going to start off with, first of all, depending on where you're located, I am a Illinois licensed realtor. And that's important because that means I can practice real estate in the state of Illinois. And would I practice somewhere in a further south, and no, I will always, if I ever got a client that was interested, I would refer it out, because you definitely want to have a realtor who knows the area, and they know the area well, because there is a lot of moving targets that if your realtor isn't familiar with those moving targets, it can be financially a disaster for you if you find out as you're kind of mulling through home ownership and you're hit with some astronomical cost of that's my phone going off. So my phone may go off too. So I'm just going to naturally flow with this thing, guys, but I'm not going to answer the phone. I just heard it buzzing. But anyway, back to what I was saying. You definitely want a realtor who understands the area that you're interested in. And so although we can, as long as we've got the data and the information that we can just put our hands to, we can be of good service to you in knowing where you are and what you need to do in order to buy a home. But I'm going to start off with, I'm just going to do some ancillary discussions about different things going on in housing right now. And I kind of learned this from my sister, who received her letter, but we haven't received our letter. For those of you who are homeowners, or you know someone who is a homeowner, the Cook County Assessor's Office got something going on with the COVID adjustment for your assessments. Now, I tried myself to kind of understand, what this means, but it can be clear if you read through it. But what it's basically saying is that due to COVID creating unemployment for a lot of homeowners and investors, that they're going to be giving some kind of a break. Now, what that means, the best I can tell you is you might want to just go through their website, because they've got a frequently asked questions about which property types are receiving the COVID-19 adjustment, whether your property value will go down compared to the previous year. And I know we just received our recent assessment on our home, and they're trying to go up, which we're going to, hey Denise, thanks for stopping in. But we're going to appeal it, because, right now, with the conditions of what's going on out here, you need to take advantage of whatever's out here, and don't be ashamed to do it, because if you're like many people, if your income has dropped, or you've been placed on furlough, or a number of reasons where your income isn't the same prior to pre-COVID, you want to really do your homework to find out what's available to you. And that's why I'm bringing my live podcast, because I do want to provide information, and I believe in information. I truly do, because you got to have information. I don't care if it's buying your first house or whatever, you got to have the right information. So what I would suggest you do, to try to get any additional information about this COVID property assessment, I would go online and read about it, because they do offer a lot of information. You can also go online to put your PIN number in to see if you, not necessarily qualify, but if your area is one of the areas that they're doing this special process with. So that's just some information about the COVID for property owners. Now, how about, if you haven't heard, that Governor Pritzker, hope I'm saying his name correctly, and if I screw your name up, sir, I'm sorry. I have that problem with my tongue sometimes and my lips. But on November 13th, which that date was Friday, yeah, it was Friday, the governor extended the rental moratorium. And I know, this has got to be difficult on both ends. It's difficult for the tenant who has found themselves in a situation where, they're again, income, no income, a lack of income, and their job is, they're not sure what's going on. And with this moratorium, at least gives them an opportunity to hopefully rebound in some sort of a way, some way. But what the landlords are a little concerned about, and I'm not saying it's not warranted, is that there are people that are always going to take advantage of the situation. And the one thing I want to say is, I was, let me just lay it out there. I was a compliance manager for a village. And one of the things I used to say to landlords, you need to get to know your tenants. Okay, I get it. It's a business. You want to make sure you don't go past those blurred lines, because if ever you have to do things professionally, then, you won't get those blurred lines won't interfere with what you need to do. But in this case, there needs to be some communication between you and your tenant so that they understand your situation in terms of financially. If you don't meet certain things, you don't have to go into any detail. That's not that's not a tenant's business, but there just needs to be an open dialogue just to understand where your tenant is and your tenant understands where you are, and try to figure out how you can maybe come up with some ways in which you can keep them in your property and you can receive something. Because on the landlord side, and a lot of them, I was just looking at showing some houses in Lansing. I was just floored as to how many properties were on the market that belonged to an investor. Because there were programs out here, and they still are, that were getting people involved in the rental business, because that is a good way to make income. I mean, real estate still is and will always be a great form of investment, but some people really just dived in and just grabbed a good share of rental properties, and now they are trying to load them off. And so and just it's a situation where I get why they want to do it, and you have tenants who are just don't know what to do, in terms of trying to figure out how they're going to survive. So that's why communication is just so important. So, because if there may be reasons or maybe other things that a tenant can do in order to bring in some additional income, and if they feel as though you're just not coming at them, and being vicious about the whole process, it's some good things that can come out of it if you've got two people who are trying to keep this afloat. But now, on the other hand, you've got tenants who are just trying to take advantage of the situation. And that's not right either. But because at the end of the day, and people slip through the cracks, and I get it, at the end of the day, if you are not doing the right thing by your landlord, eventually it's going to come a point, a day of reckoning. And you're going to be obviously forced out of the property. And then now you got to try to figure out where you can go and who will let you in when you don't have a good track record of trying to do the right things. At least if it does end up that you have to leave, and you worked out a good situation with your landlord, you can use that reference. Because A lot of landlords are, and I would imagine now with this COVID, if landlords don't do it, shame on them, that they're going to be really doing some deep background as to before they let you into their properties. So it's important to do the right thing. And I just want to say for those tenants who are falling in the parameters of what Pritzker put out there, because there are certain conditions in order for you to receive this moratorium. So let me just quickly go to it. Some of them, you have to be making some kind of attempt to pay your rent. But it says a person covered is a tenant who provides a landlord or a housing provider with the right pursuant eviction or an action for possession which declares that they expect to earn no more than $99,000 a year. So, and that's probably not a hard threshold, because a lot of people have lost their income. They are unable to make a full payment. So that means if you got a job, making something, you should be paying your landlord something. All right. And then you just have to try to pay as much as you can. Now, there is a form that you have to go on to the Housing IDA's website, and you've got to fill that out and understand why you're filling it out and make sure you qualify for it. And if you're struggling, I'm speaking to those tenants, if you're struggling to make your rental payments, then there's a form that, as long as you qualify, that form is what you would give to your landlord. But it has to be, you have to qualify for it. You just can't wake up and say, hey, I just can't pay my rent, and so I think I fall in that qualification for that moratorium. But at the end of the day, folks, if you are in a bad situation, communication. Let me repeat that. Communication. And hopefully in that communication, there is some light at the end of the tunnel, because you're trying to do the right thing. Often when you're trying to do the right thing, some good things can come of it. Now, we're going to flip the conversation. And we're going to talk about, although we're in this COVID, I still see that buyers are buying and sellers are selling. Are we in a buyer's market right now? Yeah, we are, because there are more homes on the market than there are buyers that are in the market. And I say the reason for it is because of what's going on and the uncertainty that comes with it. But there are still people out here buying. And so I just want to just go through just a few things of the characteristics of a buyer. Let's say in terms of the share. It's saying that first-time home buyers made up 31% of the home buyers. And it dipped a little last year, but we're still getting a good percentage of first-time home buyers in the market. And that's why, and I always kind of put a little caveat on there, that's why first-time home buyers, you want to make sure the realtor that you're working with understands your marketplace. And I think I said that earlier. The typical buyer was 47 years old. So, and that's interesting, because that means some people are waiting until they're in their later years to buy a property. I know when my husband and I first bought, I think I was 27, he was 28. And so we were like shaking in our boots. Can we do this? And thank goodness we did. 12% of home buyers purchase multi-generational homes. So with the baby boomers getting older, there may be more buyers looking to purchase multi-family dwellings so that they can care for their aging parents. And I read somewhere where it's starting to build up, or they're starting to increase, where I think it was in the city of Chicago. I should have had that magazine with me, but they're talking about people are building not clubhouses, called clubhouses. I'm sorry. They're building, what do you call those? I can't think of it right now, but they're smaller homes that are behind the original home, and I cannot think of it right now, but it'll come to me, and then I'll say random coach houses. There it is! Hey, I remembered it. Yeah, they're building coach homes so that they'll be able to have their parents under one roof, and then they're, because I know as I'm aging and my husband's aging too, um, we're looking to downsize, and I keep teasing my kids, particularly one of them who would love to have us move in with them. You know, it would be interesting to be in a coach house with enough living square footage so that we can still enjoy being on our own, but yet being close to family as we age. So they're starting to see more people interested in that. And then, of course, that there's a lot of different layers that has to happen for communities that do want to adopt that type of housing. But maybe that's something that we just need to think more seriously about, with the uncertainty of life, and people can still live together but yet separately and support one another financially. I can see where that could be an interesting type of housing for a lot of people. So be on the lookout for that. If that's something that you see, you might want to be interested down the road. But the other important thing about this data that came out, at least percentage of it, 88% of you guys are still buying through real estate agents. Yeah, I appreciate that, because it was a little scary for us when we saw how Zillow and all of these different other companies were coming in and getting their market share, and you guys can just click, 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 click and get your information, and then will the consumer still want to use us? And the answer is yes, because I am, and if a realtor doubts it, then they need to sharpen that pencil and understand we still have access to the information that you need in order to make your decision to buy or sell. Just last week, I took some classes just to sharpen my iron. It scares me how much information we have in our at our touch of a button. But at the same time, it's information that you can use. I mean, we can tell you if you're in a buyer's market, a seller's market, if the sellers in that particular area are paying closing costs. We can tell you what the trends are individually for homes in specific areas. We can even find out, let's say if there's a house that may not necessarily be on the market, we can find some additional information at our touch. And I can go on with other things, but that's why you guys need us. You don't necessarily need us to find your house, because you can do that. You could just pick up your phone, this little thing here, and find your houses. My daughter is looking for a house now. Every time I wake up, blah, 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 blah. Okay, she done sent me another house. Okay, but you know what? That's what you guys do. You're out looking now. The thing I do once she sends me that house, because a lot of times when you're getting that information online, it may not be real time. And what I mean by that, it may be the fact that that property status may have changed, or it's not even on the market, because their algorithms is grabbing the information. And so if bad information is in, bad information is coming out. So, and that's why you need us. And then a lot of people, a lot of sellers or some individuals that's looking to sell their property, they will look at those algorithm sites and say, oh, my house is worth 250,000, not understanding that they're just grabbing and averaging in many cases. And not to say that sometimes they're not close, but what they don't do that we do is we come into your house and we look and compare your house to data that we can grab to determine what that value is. And that's what helps us to make your home marketable and hopefully not on the market for a long time. So those are, those are just some snippets, some tidbits that I wanted to at least talk about and bring out before I talk about a specific area. And so today I spin the wheel and I said I will talk about South Holland, and I hope I have all my information. It doesn't look like I have it, but I can still give you enough if I have to come back part 2. But South Holland is an area that is probably 25 minutes from Chicago. South Holland, I have to really give it to the economic director there. He has been on his job creating opportunities there, and South Holland has been a community always. There, I think their slogan is faith, family, and something else. And I'm sorry, faith, family, and church. Yes, that's what it is, faith, family, and church. And so their community is kind of nestled around mainly home ownership. There you won't find a lot of multi-family homes in South Holland because it was pretty much designed for homeowners. Now, there are a lot of investors that are buying and renting properties out. And the one thing that I want to say that if you are an investor, you want to check their website, because I think from February to November, they had a moratorium on rental property. And because they do have to do an inspection, and they probably have a staff of people that are sort of perusing the area. And I think one of their ordinances states that there can only be so many rental properties within a square block. So if you're an investor thinking about, buying in South Holland for it to be a rental property, you're going to want to have your realtor or even you follow up with their ordinances. So you'll make sure you're not getting a house that you can't do what you intended it to be for. But I just want to talk about if you're a seller or even a buyer, if you're looking to buy or sell right now. And a lot of this you got to also look at COVID has played into it, because when I looked at the data for 2020, it's been like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And so right now it's a swing down, and I have to believe it's because we're going into the winter months. And I always say spring shopping starts in February or sometimes in January, depending on how quickly buyers can get a hold of that income tax check. So, but nonetheless, the markets are sort of slightly heading down, and it's showing too that the market time for single family homes is typically 41 days. So if you're a seller and you're looking to trying to get an idea how long you probably have to have your property on the market before you get a contract, this thing is averaging about 41 days. Now, even properties that are like 62,000 and below, you're starting to see a swing up. So if I had to read into that, it's probably investors buying because of the swing of how it's going up. But I won't say that there may be some buyers who are just trying to get into South Holland at the least amount of which they can spend. Now, just a caveat, if you're looking to, let's say you're looking to buy and you want to get in any area, but I'm just specifically talking about South Holland. But let's say you, the market typically for the average market, the medium home in South Holland is probably running about 139,000, about 139, 145,000. And let's say you don't qualify for that much. You might qualify for, let's say, 110,000. Well, no. Let's say you qualify for, I want this to make sense. Let's say you qualify for 130,000. You find a home that's listed that has the amenities that you want, but it's just not updated. It's got some ugly things going on. I'm just gonna say that it's got some ugly things going on. It doesn't give you a warm and fuzzy feeling when you walk in there. 9 times out of 10, buyers walk away from that. You know why? Because they're looking at the challenge of, I was trying to find my pen. I must have dropped it. They're looking at the challenge of putting in that kind of money, and they've already scraped as much money as they possibly can to even be in a position to buy. But I'm realizing, and I'm going to have a loan officer on my show. And we're going to talk about this program that a lot of buyers are not considering. It's the 203K program. And one of the reasons why I think that it's not a mortgage product that a lot of buyers use is because a lot of loan officers don't really know how to navigate through that. And so this particular loan officer that I'm going to have on my show, one of the things we talked about was that you've got to find a mortgage company where you've got a niche of loan officers, and that's all they do. And if that's all they do, they can take a 203 financing program, and it won't take 90 days. At least that's some of the stories that I hear, 90 days for it to close. And so I want to bring this loan officer in, but I want to talk a little more about the 203 program. And if anybody is interested, please send me an email. I will be more than happy to send you some general information about the 203K program. But going back to that hypothesis, let's say you qualify for 135,000. You find a property, which that's why these investors are finding them. Let's say you find a house that needs work, and it's the seller is asking for 90,000. But because you're not looking at doing the work, you're going to pass that up. Well, an investor is going to pick it up, probably less than 90,000, because they know how to negotiate. And anybody in that situation, a lot of times they're just ready to sell and get from under whatever it is. They'll get it for 80,000. They'll put 30,000 into it, and then turn around and sell it to you for 165,000. And again, that's just a hypothesis. Now, what if you, the buyer, pick that property up for 90,000? You get the 203K program, which you put your 35,000 in. And I'm just, again, these are just figures. You put your 35,000 into the property. So now you add that 90 onto the 30, you're looking at 125. The comparables on your house will show anywhere between 145 to 165,000. Wouldn't you feel good? Which is very hard to do now, because when investors come in there and they buy these properties for rock bottom and they put the work in there, oftentimes you're paying the highest offer or the highest price for that property. And so now you're up here and you see how these lines are going? So you're up here, you're up here, you're up here. And in less than 4 months, you've lost equity in your property because of whatever's going on in the market. Wouldn't you be in a better position if you had bought that house for 90,000? Put your 30,000 in there. It's worth 165,000. And now you've got that little equity built up right then and there. That's how you can begin to build wealth. And that's so I'll be on my squat box. So that's why, as buyers, first-time home buyers, period, I'm not going to specify. That's why buyers need to really learn about the 203K program. For sellers, it'll open up your market, so you're just not having to be at liberty to an investor. You can look at buyers and investors, owner occupant buyers and investors. So I'm going to, again, I think I sort of stressed that, and I'm going to bring a loan officer on, and we're going to talk about the 203K, and I probably going to really do whatever I can to be an advocate for that 203K. But anyway, I just was talking about South Holland, and I think I mentioned that, you know, the property values are creeping down a little bit. But I did not see there. I think I saw, and I was surprised that there were probably about 135 active properties on the market. So I know that I was like, wow. And then you go over to Naperville and they got over 4,000. They got over 4,000 properties, active properties on the market. So, but again, you know, I just wanted to really talk about South Holland. South Holland is a great place to consider a home. They've got some really great things going on with development. I know there was some talk prior to COVID that they're supposed to be building a family like activity. What do you call it? Like where you can gamble, play sports, and, you know, just have an active place where people can come together. Now with COVID, I don't know, that might have put a little damper on it, but I do know that they're doing some construction on 159th Street, which is connected to South Holland, Calumet City, and they're trying to do some outside activities, and that may, for a while, may be the hottest ticket on the market, is trying to create outside activities, because until there is some way to manage this COVID, which, you know, I'm glad I'm not smart enough to figure that out, so I'll let that be handled by those that are doing that. But in terms of creating some additional activities for outside, of course, that'll help to bring buyers into a marketplace, because you want a place where you can shop. But you know what? It's funny. I was just having this conversation with an economic director for another community, because being that, again, like I said earlier, I started off as the economic director, and then I moved into a compliance manager. I kept up with a lot of my networks, because as a realtor, you have to have relationships, because just case in point, and it's dealing with South Holland. I wasn't on the deal, it was someone else that was on the deal. And so I can at least share because I wasn't on the deal. The realtor, and I can't say that she was young, wasn't aware that South Holland had a process that the seller had to put in an application to get their final water bill. And so they're already going to the closing, and this problem comes up. And the problem is the sellers had already made arrangements to move out and, and continue their new journey. But because of that one thing that the realtor just didn't know that was coming, and I'm not saying it was her fault, things like that happen. But the point I'm making is your realtor needs to have relationships because of the simple fact that I knew of some people that worked in the municipality. I was able to at least knock off a day or two, and so that helped the seller, even though the seller wasn't my client, but I always believe anywhere I can be of help or assistance or share, I'm going to do it, because it's just who I am, and that's just the right thing to do. But I believe in just having relationships, keeping relationships. So the point that I was trying to make, I didn't do myself off trying to think about the point I was making, but I was just told, I know that I was talking to this economic director, and we were just saying with COVID has done some sad things in terms of people that have lost loved ones, and my heart goes out to any individual who has lost a loved one in this crisis, because it's a toll, and you can't even mourn correctly. So my heart goes out to anybody that has lost a loved one. But we were just talking about what COVID has done. It has changed the landscape of a lot of things. And now you can pick up your phone and you can have your food delivered. Or you don't even have to pick up your phone. You can go online and have your food delivered. You can go online, have your clothes delivered. You can go online and have a plethora of things delivered to you. So brick and mortar malls may be a thing of the past. And even down to schools, because realtors will tell you today that often buyers buy based on the school district. And Black and brown communities are struggling to try and hold a standard because of the lack of funding for a whole lot of things. But wouldn't it be an advantage? And I'm just throwing some out there. I do that. Wouldn't it be an advantage with COVID if the schools, wherever they are, that are struggling to try to bring curriculums into the schools, that now that they have students that have been acclimated to virtual learning, to bring that same process into schools and then contract out to programs that typically aren't brought in to Black and brown communities for whatever reason. And see, I'm not going to get into the political stuff of it because like I said, remember what I said? I stay out of that lane. I just throw things out in the garden to see if things can pop up. But wouldn't it be great, because everything is becoming virtual, and communities can maybe look at a little differently as to how they build economic development. Economic development can be, and who's leading it? Amazon. But Amazon isn't the only distribution where people buy things from. I mean, yeah, they're taking over the market, but Amazon isn't the only source where people order. So why can't other industries think of the same way? Let's say I'm gonna throw something out there, like uh, retail stores. I know they tried to do something a few places, but I don't think they really maybe thought that out. But why can't retail stores create a distribution where in different communities they can build up these facilities to house the material, the products, so that they're being delivered. And so the point I'm getting back to where I was talking about, that communities can create or develop in a different way if we look at how COVID has changed the way that people are living their lives and things, even working now. People are working from home, people are learning from home. I think colleges are now uh, doing more virtual classes. I know the kids may not be all that excited about it because, what do you go to college for? You want to go to college so you can get the independence of being on your own and not having to hear what mom and dad or people tell you what to do. So that's a great experience. But I just think that there's an opportunity for communities to grow. And I always say that, and then I'm about to come to the end. And I always say that when I was going to meetings with the different communities, I used to always say to myself, why aren't all the people sitting at the table? And I used to think that the schools need to be sitting at the table, because without them, it's hard to build communities up. It's really difficult to bring communities up. And I see it all the time. I see where the ones that are in power are making these decisions to try and bring development in. And the one thing that they don't look at is, at least in my opinion, and I'm just outside looking at, the one thing that they don't look at is economic development begins with housing. And if you don't work with the stakeholders that can help you build your housing, then you're kind of swimming upstream, especially in particular areas. Yeah, we have investors coming in, and they're going to always come in because that's just America. That's capitalism in its finest. So they're going to always come in. But if we don't create opportunities for individuals to become homeowners, regardless of what income level that they may be in, if they're ready, willing, and able to put in the hard work that it takes to get financing, their credit is good in terms of what it takes to get a loan, but because what they qualify for is a lot less than what some of these houses are going for. But we got so many abandoned properties and dilapidated properties in our community that are just sitting there, just collecting more decay. I think it's time that, I think COVID gives us an opportunity to think outside the box even more. So with that said, all right, I think I've been on my squawk box long enough. So I thank you guys for joining in. I'm going to put this on my website and my Facebook, and so that I can, at least if you didn't get a chance to sit through my presentation or my show, you can still check it out and hear it in its full entirety. So listen, I'm trying to do 60 minutes, but I may not. I thought this was going to be kind of hard to do this by myself, but this seems to be not a hard thing to do. I just got to have some good information to bring to you, and that it's relevant and up to date, and something that you're interested in. So, but at any rate, you guys take care of yourself, wear those masks. And if I can say, when you're out working out and you're not around a lot of people, pull it down and let the natural process continue, because I don't know how long we're going to be able to, how long we're going to be wearing these masks, but you want to learn how to still breathe and get fresh air in your system. But it's been a blast. I thank you for listening to me. I'm going to take us out with my favorite song that I came across. Come on. My favorite song that I came across that reminds me of the Windy City. It's getting cold, but hey, we know how Chicago is. So everybody take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening, or if you're listening to it in the daytime, I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself and look out for others. Don't always let it be about you guys, because it really is a blessing in serving. So take care until we meet again in another week. Bye now.